Cool. Well, right on. Thanks for coming out, everybody. Super fun. I can't think of a better way to spend an early Sunday in the summer, or Friday evening, talking about fins. But yeah, super stoked. Um, yeah, I'll just kind of start kind of top level, and then we can drill down as much as we want. But yeah, I just want to keep it free flowing. If there's any burning questions, don't wait till the end. Feel free to chime in, and we'll kind of go through it as we go. Um, but yeah, I'm Keoni. I'm the Hawaii FCS rep. Work with a lot of manufacturers too. We've got a shaper in our midst right now. Thank you for coming down, Craig. So stoked. Yeah, it's awesome to have you here. Bunch of his boards on the racks. I was eyeing out one of your fishes earlier, but thanks for cruising in. Um, but yeah, we'll just kind of go through the system itself initially. Um, so the fin system. Is a little different than some other systems out there. It's actually a working mechanism in there. There's a pin and a wheel in there, so it holds on to this bushing here. And when it's totally engaged and the bushing snaps in there, it locks the fin in place. These boxes are shorter than other boxes you might see, because the idea is to keep flex and torque in the tail of your board. If you have a 5-fin setup here with longer boxes, you're going to kill all the flex, you're going to kill all the spring and pop out of your board. So these are peanut shaped for a reason, to keep torque in the boxes. And then you also don't have the fin connecting all the way. So it's a fin system that you're going to get a lot more performance out of in the back half of your board. Um, the um, the pin and the wheel. This is in our FCS2. We have an FCS1, which is you're going to see on our original FCS system, and then some of our side bites we're doing in an FCS1. But FCS2 is the system that we've transitioned to, and it's the one we really market, put all our effort into. It's a fantastic system. Um, so one thing that I'll just kind of go, we were just talking about twins earlier, and the way our fins go in, it allows for the design of the fin to come through without any accommodations. So the fin goes in from the front like this. So this is obviously a 5-fin, but just for the sake of this, we're going to put that in, and we're going to see the connection you get is all at the bottom there. You don't have this accommodation just to get your fin. This is the function of the fin going in the box. This is not a function of the fin design. So I had my neighbors at my folks' house out in Makaha. They breed macaws, and I was they're outside and they're not in a cage, but they have these long wings. And I was looking at them. I was asked the lady, "Hey, you don't clip their wings?" And she goes, "Oh, no, the wings are clipped." I was like, "Wow, but the feathers are so long." She pulled the feather out, or the wing out, and she goes, "Oh yeah, this doesn't make a difference. No, we can keep these just for the looks of it. But this is where they get their lift, and this is where they fly. You cut this down here, and they can't fly. That's how you clip the wings on a parrot." And it was like, had this big aha moment. And I was like, "Oh my gosh." So I went through all my templates. Okay, the Almeric, a lot of bass, the Paizel, a lot of bass, and it was really cool just to hear that from her. And then I started going through all my twin fins. So I was even writing futures boards, putting a piece of Mylar tape to cover this, and then taking it off during the session and feeling the difference. And it's mind blowing. It's pretty amazing. So what's great about our fins is the system is we can put it in from the front and rock it back. You have all the performance aspects, but then you don't have the worry of pukaing the back of your fin box. So kind of a neat aspect. We've been very known for high performance surfing. That's kind of seems like we have a lot of our high performance surfers, a lot of high performance shapers. But lately, we have two fins with album. Where do we got those guys? I have them in here somewhere. But yeah, we have a couple of album sets, which is really cool to see that you guys are bringing an album here. You got them in there. Chris Christensen, Panda. It's great to see all these new kind of, I guess you could say, alternative from the high performance and work. Oh, here we go. Thank you. So yeah, pretty cool to see all the new templates. Going into summer, we're talking about twin fins and that kind of stuff. So a lot of new relationships with shapers that have traditionally been very focused on kind of alternative craft, twins, that kind of thing. So super cool to see that coming through. I was talking to Austin here, but this was kind of cool to see. This is the difference in our twin fin and the power twin for true aims. But you put them together, and then you see this gap here along the bottom where we have this flush connection with the bottom of the board, and then there's kind of the gap. Obviously it's exaggerated on a keel, but even on a twin fin you can see what the differences are here. So kind of neat there. Regarding our box and our system, this is obviously maybe a little more for a shop consideration, but our box is patented. So we have a patented box, and you cannot build our base with so you can't have an off brand, like a say it's a True Aims or anything like that. They can't build an FCS base. FCS 1 is not patented anymore. We relinquished that patent, but we still hold and maintain the patent on the FCS 2 base. And what's good for you all is that you can't buy an off-brand. You can't buy a surfboard here and then take it home and then buy something on Amazon or whatever with a similar base. Because this is patented, only FCS can make these fins, so they might as well get the sale from you all. You might as well support your local shop where you bought the board, because you're not going to find it online from an off-brand. So this is a patented system. So pretty cool. So that's kind of fin box, fin function in a nutshell. I'm going to move on to like templates and that kind of thing, unless we have any other questions on the box. And there are grub screw holes, so you can screw it down. One reason is to accommodate the old FCS 1, so you can put an FCS 1 in an FCS 2 box, but you can screw it down if you want. We're looking at the Beneath the Surface series here. There's one with Mason, one with Kalohi. There's one with Nathan Florence that's coming out pretty soon, which is going to be really cool. We kind of talk about Nathan's set, and it's pretty cool. I mean, really, the stuff he's doing is like the 1% of the 1%. I mean, there's only a very small amount of people in this world that can understand what he's doing and stuff, but it's very cool to hear his testimonial on his fin and the FCS, in general. And during the interview, I asked him about the system, and he goes, "Oh, I'm so glad you asked that." He goes, "When I came across to FCS, I wanted to have my own unbiased experience. So I purposely didn't screw any of my fins in, no matter if I was surfing Aokai Beach Break or, 30-foot Ireland. I just wanted to go out and have my own experience with the fins without screwing them in." And he goes, "To this day, I still don't screw them in. I've only lost one fin, and it's because it hit my shoulder. And I feel like I would have got stitches, and it would have been the end of my surf trip had that happened." He said he was in Indo, and the fin came off, which, that's something that, we hear testimonials all the time. Hey, the fin came off, saved my box, or fin came off, saved my shoulder, or whatever it is, But to this day, he still doesn't screw in. He goes, "I've never had one pop out on a wave. As long as you put it in properly and it's sitting flush and the bushing grabs the little notch, you're good to go." So that was a cool kind of testimonial from Nathan, and the stuff that he's been doing, Ride of the Year, Barrel Year, I mean, the list of stuff he's been doing is just amazing. So super cool to have Nathan on the team and switched on like that. So pretty awesome. But this is his big wave set. There's a quad and a thruster set. And again, it's for the 1% of those guys who are out there, doing it. It's made out of G10 material, which is same stuff made in F-14 cockpits. It's carbon and epoxy put under high pressure and heat to create the super stiff material that doesn't flex, because at that speed, you don't want any flex, So that's pretty cool. So unless there's any more questions on actual box system, I'll kind of just go like a top level on materials. No, zero, just color. Yeah, we even have pink, as you saw. Yeah. Yeah. You know, there is actually that honeycomb. Yeah, there is that honeycomb. It's just tonal, so you can't really tell. But yeah, same. Yep, depending on what you're into. Um, okay, there we go. Pandas. So maybe what I'll do is I'll go into material since we're kind of talking. If Nathan's is kind of the most stiff and the most rigid of materials, um, this would be kind of your most flexy. So this is Neoglass. Um, this is probably our most flexible. Price point, you know, there's no core in here. It's just a start to finish one material. This is our PC, which is a performance core. And this, if you look up in the light, you'll see this honeycomb core. And this makes it a little lighter, and it does give you a little bit of a flex aspect. So you have a load and release phase to this fin as you load it up. So there's benefits that come with performance core. And then go a little further into the performance core carbon. So has the performance core. It's a touch different. It doesn't have the honeycomb. It's got a little bit different flex in the foam, but the carbon creates a different aspect. It's a little more of a twangy load and release kind of feeling. And you know, you could say it's a little stiffer, but it does have a little different flex property, and it does have a little different load and release phase. So for the intents and purposes here, this is a little cheat sheet here, but it kind of goes into our different materials. Neoglass, there's a neocarbon, which we do in a fanning, which is kind of in between, but you know, the main are Neoglass, performance core, and then the PCC. What we're seeing a lot of recently is a big shift back to 100% glass, performance glass. So, you know, this I think can be attributed to a lot of our CT surfers wanting a little more drive. They want a little more reliability. They want to, and these surfers are they're getting more. They're putting more into their board, so they're getting more out of it. You know, so this is like maybe a larger surfer, advanced surfer who's really able to load up a fin like this. There's a much better flex pattern in here than we used to do in some of our previous performance glass, which we kind of phased out. But now going to like a proper foil, you can actually load these up, and there's a lot more benefits in our PG, or performance glass. We're doing them now in, where do we have them here? Was it we're doing an AM, we're doing a Toledo. Was that, oh, okay, and the Felipe's, okay. So we're just launching this PG series. So it's a performance glass group. So that would be on the stiffer end of the spectrum. So Neoglass on one end and then performance glass on the other. So a few different materials. We're actually doing a performance core carbon now, or an air core carbon in the JS. So little variations to go along with all the templates. We have different materials, you know, and then we have different foils and stuff too. But as far as that's a good kind of a cross section on materials. Generally, I would say materials are surfer specific, you know, as far as ability, and then surfboard specific and wave specific, you know. So larger wave, you're doing longer turns. You want a little more of a subtle load and release. But if you're surfing like a smaller wave, you might want a quicker load and release with more flex in it. Say Kolohe's fins, a lot of flex in them. He's surfing a beach break. He's doing 2 pumps and then trying to hit that closeout for the air, you know. But if you're surfing sunset, you're doing a longer 20-yard bottom turn. You want something a little less flex, a little stiffer, just to keep that inertia and keep that momentum going down the line. So that's kind of the two differences, you know, the bookends, and then you kind of got in between here on a few different materials. But as far as like templates go, you know, everything kind of falls into four families with us. You know, going from most upright to most swept, we've got reactor, performer, accelerator, and carver. So the reactor is kind of our most upright fin. That's kind of like your Kelly Slater template, very upright, quick beach breaks. Kewalos, something where you're doing a real quick hit. You're not really projecting, you know, a quick barrel. very short reactive kind of turns, so that's kind of what you're doing with this. More pivot, less down the line drive, but fast, because the fin's getting through the water quicker. You don't have that long edge that's taking longer to get through the water. This fin's getting through the water quickly because it's so upright. So that's reactor side. um, and then performer, this is probably our our number one template. It's somewhat neutral. It does sit between the Carver and the Reactor family, kind of right in the middle. So it's a nice balance. It's a balanced fin. It's got a lot of drive, and it's got pivot when you need it. The one different aspect on the Performer family is that it has inside foil. So it's got speed generating foil, whereas the other ones are all flat foil, which is just very reliable flat foil. Whereas this is going to have a little more life to it with that inside foil. It's speed generating, so the water is going to flow through the inside quicker. Well, it's not an 80-20 because that's more actual leading edge foil. Like leading edge foil is so like let's see, like a quad. Like you would see that mostly on a quad, like a quad rear. So quad rears, you would see it 50-50. You would see it 80-20. You would see it 70-30, and you'd probably see 50. Yes, yeah, the little infinity logo. So basically, what you do is when you start doing an inside foil, you get water flowing on both sides of the fin. So now you have more hold. So you have less release and less lift, but you have more reliable. The fin gets more reliable. It sits down a bit more, and you start doing longer turns. So that is just kind of that function right on the front end. Flat foil is good for small conditions because you get the maximum lift. But like Nathan's fin, so on his big wave sets, so what you're trying to do is get reliable hold. You want the fin to sit down, and you don't want lift. You just want control. And so for his quad sets, he's got an 80-20 front foil and a 50-50 rear foil. And for his thruster set, he has a 90-10 front foil, 50-50 back, obviously, on the thruster. So what he's trying to do is achieve, maximum hold and reliability. So that's what that 80-20 foil is. What this has here, maybe for the sake of comparison, I think Futures calls it like a speed generating foil, or what do they call it? Like a hex or a high speed generator. Yeah. So it's an actual concave section in the fin where it goes in, and that's the speed generating foil. But the leading edge is still flat. Yeah. So on that, the leading edge is still flat. Yes, the leading edge on this is still flat. But that's a great question, because there are different kinds of foils, leading edge foils. I think that first one had like almost like a rolled front. Yeah. It wasn't flat. On which one? On that the original. Oh, right. The original, yeah, the little. That's going back. Yeah. And that's the idea of that is what, infinity, right? Where you keep doing these round turns and stuff. Yeah. This is a super fun story. So Mick Fanning, you see how he surfs. Very, very rail to rail, lots of power, lots of flow, big sweeping turns. So he was coming into FCS, and he was just using all the flat foils that they were building for him. And they were like, oh man, I'm not feeling it. I'm not getting that, that those turns that I like, those big round open face, those carves that just keep the speed going. They kept doing it for him, and it never really clicked for him. So finally what they did was they were looking at the way a glass-on fin has that bead of rope that comes up the front, and it doesn't necessarily sit on the side. That rope bead on a glass-on kind of goes up the middle, and then it starts to, then it'll start to foil over to the side. But what they did was they took it and they beveled the fin for him. So the leading edge is beveled. It's not a total flat foil. So if you put these two fins together, you got a little bit of a gap in there. And when they did that, he's like, mate, I don't know what you did, but you guys are spot on, and it all of a sudden, it was great because he got what he needed. So and it's not rounded. Yeah, it's not rounded. It's just beveled. It's just got a little bit of a, I guess you could call it maybe an 80-20, but it's super slight. So they call it a bevel. Yeah. So So a lot of flat foil fins, you put them together and there's no gap in here. But this one has just a little bit of a gap in there. And so we call it a bevel foil. There's a few fins that do. Toledo also likes that aspect. He does surf real rail to rail. His fin has that bevel foil as well. So that must be sold out. Yeah, I think we got one, right? We have it in here. I thought we had one in here. So the Toledo. Oh, actually, we have his. Here we go. We have his PG. But yeah, this has got a little bevel foil too. So there's a few that do. If you go to our materials and info page, you can kind of see where the foils sit on everything. So there's flat and there's bevel. I think the Julian's also a beveled. But yeah, kind of an interesting aspect. So yeah, throw another wrench into everything with the no, but that's why it's so fun. It's just an infinite possibilities. You got material, you got template, then you have foil. So no, they do for the accelerator. So for the families, yes. So for yeah, so for there are basic families with reactor, performer, accelerator, carver. We have all the materials represented in each of these. But usually when you get an athlete or a shaper, they're usually fine-tuned on something. This was a super fun project. Was working with Wade Tokoro, and I know he's one of the shapers we support here in the shop. So super cool to work with Wade. But he wanted a carver. You look at Wade surf, very rail to rail. In fact, works very closely with Fanning, or did, back in the day. But he wanted a carver, but he kind of wanted some aspects of the Merrick, which has a smaller trailer. So we kind of went through, gosh, I don't know how many renditions. I'd send him fins. He'd give me the ones he liked back. He'd want to change it. I'd send it to Australia. Australia would make the adjustments. They'd send it back to me. I'd drive out to Kaneohe, give it back to Wade. Wade would go, and he said he would go to VLAN, and he would get there super early in the morning, go surf, catch 3 waves, come in, change the fins, go back out, catch 3 waves, come back in, change the fins. And he would do that for months, And when I got the protos back, they were just scurbed, totally shredded, because he was like, "Oh, Keoni, ride him right onto the reef, just get every last drop out of it, And Australia was always calling me like, "Keoni, how we looking?" And I'm all, let me ask the way. I don't want to rush, I don't want to rush perfection. Oh, wait, how's it? How are we going? So Keoni, good. More testing though. I need more testing. And I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna rush you, So it was super fun working with Wade, but this is what he settled on was something with a lot of sweeps. It's in the Carver family with a little bit smaller trailer. And that's kind of been kind of a little thing aspect we've been seeing in a lot of new sets. The Merrick is famous for that, a smaller trailer. DHD went to a smaller trailer with their new set. Smaller trailer here, but it's been again, it's something that where you get a little more flair, a little more release on it. So this was a super fun project working with a legend like Wade. So that was super cool. But yeah, we've got kind of covered the families, the materials, the foils. One other thing I wanted to touch on as far as high performance, get into the longboard real quick. I fortunately or unfortunately have a stepdaughter that lives in my house. She's 16, super fun. But during COVID, the whole volleyball team was at my house surfing every day at Toes, and I'd paddle out with the boys. I'm like, sorry guys, I hate to do this to you. I have like 6, 8 little girls behind me, and I'm just like, guys, just don't drop in on the uncles, please. It's a bad look for me. I want to keep my place in the lineup here. But it was super fun having them around. And what I learned to appreciate is our connect system with the longboard. So try putting 6 to 8 longboards in the back of your truck when you're done surfing, and then try and put those 6 to 8 longboards in your garage when you're done surfing. The ability to just pop the fin out and stack them all they click in too. So there's a bushing and a pin in this, and it fits into any longboard. So in addition to the convenience aspect of being able to take them out, put it in your hatchback, making sure that the door gets down, putting it back in your garage, lining them all up. you can change your ride during the session, and it's super fun, and full disclosure, I became kind of a fan, longboarding during COVID. It was super fun. And so it was fun going through all our templates, and then moving them back and forward in the box during the session was also a super cool aspect. So
a box just like a screw and plug?
yeah. So it goes in from the front and then pops down, and this bushing locks it in.
So it doesn't have to be one of your boxes, or it has to be an FCS?
No, it doesn't have to be our box. Nope, any box. Yep. So, and it's super fun. We've got some great templates. We've got a Kelia fin. Do we have a sister in here? We might have sister. We got her. Yeah. We got sister in here. I mean, she is our.
Got the new colorway.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, sister is our key athlete. So we got sister, Christensen, Thomas Bexton, and then our families, Connect, Click. So we got quite a few different fins for longboards, but that's been super fun, and that was cool to have that experience with that pop in, pop out longboard fin. So that was super duper fun. Yeah, no, it was super duper cool. So so stoked. Some will be PC. Like this is a performance core, but we also do a Volan with Christensen, and we do a Volan with the Thomas Bexton, and then we do a couple other Volans. But Kilia's is 100% glass.
So I asked so many questions.
No.
Performance core, is that like a hex core that's lighter?
Yeah. So it is lighter than the glass for sure. It's definitely lighter. So it's same performance core as like we have in one of these, So same thing in there. So yeah, some of our longboard fins do have PCs in there as well. But yeah, super fun having that system in the longboards for sure.
Do you offer that fin system in a smaller fin size?
Yes. So let me see how deep they go into this thing. Do we have another one? I buried my other. Let's see. So our Connect system. So with Christensen, this goes down to 7.5, and then it goes up to like 10.5. With our Connect, we go down to like 7 and all the way up to 10. So yeah, here's kind of our longboard sizes. But yeah, all kinds of sizes. And then we even have little so say you do a 2+1 kind of thing. So then one of them, we were looking at Harley Ingleby up here earlier. He has like a 5.5. He has a 6-inch. We did a Chrysalis for a while. That was like a 6.5 and a 7. Or I think it was a 6 and a 6.5. But this is like a kind of a 2+1 setup. So yeah, we do that single fin in a lot of sizes. Yeah. And obviously tons of side bite options too. We do side bites in a couple different materials. This is kind of our basic glass flex, just kind of price point. But we do side bites in all kinds of materials too, the glass flex as well. And then if you have a 2-tab side bite, we do a line of in our FCS one for side bites. So yeah, pretty cool to have the longboard aspect in there too. But let's see, kind of covered a lot of that. Paizel, I wanted to just bring out the Paizel quickly, just because we were talking about that, and I don't know if you were here for the Paizel chat, but I didn't think it. I'm gonna bust out one of yours. Oh, you got the Ingleby. Okay, sweet.
But we don't have the single fin.
Okay, you don't have the Ingleby. Okay. Oh, right. Oh, here we go. This was something we kind of talked about at just touched on it quickly during the Paizel chat. But what was really interesting was his fin. So in addition to template, flex, foil, an actual like 80/20 or front foil, you have like thickness foil. This fin is so unique. It's very thick at the bottom, and it sits forward in the box. So it feels really loose, and it feels like you have a lot of options because the fin is thicker. It gets water flowing on both sides quicker, and it feels like you just have all kinds of options for it. So it's really unique fin. It's got a wide base. It's just about as wide as the Merrick, which is kind of interesting. But it does have an interesting flex and thickness to it, So like, let's see, this one.
Just where it starts.
Yeah. So like this one just got a 16th inch, But then if you look at some other ones, they sit a little further. Like, look at this, the DHD, you can see how it starts kind of back there, and Reactor, kind of starts a little bit further back, where this one is pushed really far forward in the box, and then it's a little thicker. There's a lot of overhang on the tab. But I didn't realize until I started surfing it, and I realized, gosh, this fin's amazing. Like it was very cool. So, the whole FCS Find Your Fin, it's so fun just to go, and there's a guide. This is obviously, how much you weigh, what kind of board you're using. There's kind of a guide into your size of fin, small, medium, large, and then what kind of surfing you're doing. Are you doing like a quick hit, like a concessions or kind of Kewalos kind of thing? Or are you doing like a deep water wave, like a Lonnie's or, something like that? So there's different fins within those conditions. And then you have all the fun of the different foils, and the different materials within that. So super duper fun on just all the different fins, but it definitely gives your board a different aspect, and it's like, can't think of how many boards I had back in the day that were glass on fins, didn't have the best go on it, and just kind of like shelved it. And you think about, wow, I could have really changed the ride on that board just by being able to change the fins, so super fun just to be able to give your board new life and, try a different fin template and flex and that kind of thing. So super duper cool. Let's see. Any questions? I covered a lot. It's kind of went after it for a bit, but
Going back to the construction, what's AirCore about?
Oh, AirCore. Okay, so we have PC, but then we also have AirCore. So this is kind of our standard PC core, and then our AirCore is a little bit lighter and a little bit stiffer. So within the performance core, you've got two different kinds of core. You've got our standard foam core, which is pretty light. It's got pretty good flex. But then a lot of the top athletes wanted AirCore, which is a little lighter and a little stiffer even, So you need to load it up a little more, So as you get more into stiffer fins, it requires a little more wave energy and a little more from the surfer to load it up. But then again, you get those benefits by being able to load it like that, But you don't want to be overpowered, If you're, surfing a small wave, or you're an intermediate surfer and you're surfing a fin that's too stiff, it's just going to be overpowered, or you're not going to be able to load it and get the proper flex out of it, But yeah, even within our performance core, we have two types. We have performance core, and then we have AirCore performance core.
There's no air.
No air. It's just lighter, So they called it. No, it's actually like solid. It's just like solid. Whereas these guys, you see the little hex in there, but this one was just like super solid. So it must be, maybe there's more of it in the fin, than like, and this one has more glass. I would think on this, it's probably less resin because it's lighter. So it's probably more foam. That's kind of my guess, Yeah. What I'm thinking. But oh yeah, here you can see on the Toledos how far back these sit in the box, in relation to the Paizel. Yeah. So it comes down to what the athlete wants, what the shaper wants, So it's super cool to have this interactive talks with all of our shapers. But there's some fantastic videos on here on our website, and they kind of we launched this new this new series called Beneath the Surface, and let's see, Kekoa does a couple, and then Richie Lovett does a couple, but it's really cool where they kind of dig into it. This is one of our longboarders, Waxhead, but they dig into what they prefer, what their best applications are. And it just kind of goes into the behind the scenes on the athlete. The Mason Ho one is hilarious. You got to watch the Mason Ho one. It's really, really funny. But yeah, there's a whole deeper level on all this. If there's something we kind of missed here today.
I had a question for you.
Yeah.
You had a couple of shapers in here.
Yeah.
What are the advantages of using FCS for like shapers, right?
Yeah. So I think one thing when you talk about keeping flex in the tail of your board, that's a big aspect. I had it's a funny story. Robin Johnson, he was like a pretty staunch futures guy, and I was trying to help him get some boards to Kelly Slater. So he goes, dude, what do I need to do? I go, well, I need to be FCS, because at the time he was like, full FCS guy. And he's like, I got this one that's pretty good. What do you think? I wrote it. I liked it. And he goes, he won't ride a used board. if you like that one, copy it, So he goes, all right, all right. So funny story. He made all the boards, got it to Kelly, and then Kelly left for the year. He never tried them. So I'm like, shoot. I go, hey, Robin, try these boards because I know you're a futures guy, but I want you to try the FCS 5-fin. So it's a 5-fin setup. And with a 5-fin setup, you have the most, I say most to gain with our system because otherwise you have 5 long boxes that are going to kill the flex in the tail of your board. So I go, Robin, try it. Robin's a great surfer. He's a really good surfer. So Robin tried it, his 5-fin, and he called me up and he goes, all right, I understand. So it was pretty cool to have that conversation with him, a good surfer, just being a staunch like futures guy, and having that just whatever that weird thing that happened, he was ended up with a bunch of FCS plug boards. So I would say that's one aspect. I would say the other good aspect is our the way futures and FCS boxes are. They're different. So we have the cant built into our boxes. So we have 9, we have 5 and 3 degree plugs. So futures plugs are all straight. The cant is in the fin. So if you're doing a keel fish, what is your target you're going for with your angles on your keels? You're trying to get to 5. Okay, so would you ever do a keel fish with say a deeper single concave versus like maybe a flat or panel V? Sometimes. Yeah. So if you're handing that to the glasser, are there any notes that you make like, hey, this isn't a panel V, this is got a little concave in it, but I want to net out at 5 degrees, right? Is that a little tricky sometimes with the glasser?
We are the glasser, so I know where you're going.
Okay, so you're the glasser. Okay.
So, it is tricky to get angles if you have like a lot of like double concave in the bottom of the board where the fin goes in, because with a flat box it'll end up pushing the fins in towards the board, right? Unless you somehow push it out and smash the foam somehow to get it to fit because you want it to be further out. With these, they have options of, I think it's like 5, 7, and 9 degrees. So if you do have a lot of concave, you just use maybe like a 9 degree, which will get it to 5 degrees. So it is, from a manufacturer standpoint, more adjustable.
So you have more control over that because we have boxes in different degrees. You can get the ideal box.
Look at it and say, oh, I can't get what I need to get.
Right.
Go for like either something a little bit more, or
go for your 9. If you've got a deep concave, you can go for the 9.
Then you go with the 5
go with the 5 or 3.
You gotta go 0.
Right. There's a 0. I don't know if it works on the side. I think you probably want the 3 at the very least. So there's a little more control in what the shaper is trying to achieve, because the cants are built into the fins on futures. So at that point, you're kind of relying on the glasser to do their work and understand what you're trying to achieve. And if your shaper, Dr. Scratch is not like the glassers sometimes, yeah, right. It's like, what can am I trying to achieve here? So the fact that we have 3 different boxes with 3 different cants, there's a little more control in what the shaper can do on the glasser, because the glasser can make or break a board, right? His edge. There's so many different ways that really rely on the shape or the glasser to make that happen for you. So there's some control in what the shaper is trying to get the end user to enjoy and experience, because he can control that with the box. So yeah.
I'm just thinking, oh my God, so many plugs.
Yeah, I know. That's the other thing.
Crazy concave, you gotta have 9s, so it stands at 7.
Yeah.
Yeah, so just something quick. You were saying 3 different boxes. So is there a different, like when you're routing out a box, different bits for all 3?
No, same actual bit and same box. The cant is just built into the angle of the actual slot, but it's the exact same box. The only difference is really, in the bottom you can see 0, you can see 3, 5, 7, whatever. So you can see that. Where was I going with it? That was a good question. Oh, So that's a funny story. We had a parting of ways with Firewire a couple years ago, a year and a half ago, and it was you know, kind of mutual. But just some backstory. Um, because they make their boards in China, it was easier for them to just do one box, right? And for them, they didn't have to tell, you know, the factory or whoever that is building the boards, hey, there's different camps for this board. The Seaside needs a 5 and a 3. The FRK needs a 9 and a 0. And they were getting a lot of weird stuff at the point of retail because a lot of that stuff was too technical for their intents and purposes there. So that was one thing that they were able to streamline their production and just go all futures. It took all that out of the equation. They just dropped one plug in all their boards, and because all the camps built in the fins made their life a lot simpler. And it was cheaper because honestly, we have a pin and a wheel in this box. There's a moving mechanism in there. It's about $12 per set, whereas there's about 85 cents per set. So it's a little different. This is actually a system. It'll cost a little more, but the problem was, the other thing was they wanted to license the material or license the bases, and because our bases are patented, we couldn't allow that. So, we just kind of went off in our own direction. So we parted ways. But
License the bases or license the aftermarket?
the bases, yeah. I mean, because the base here and there, we can't, because they're proprietary info or material and design, we couldn't allow anyone else to make them. So, anyway. Long story there, but yeah, it's a lot. There is a lot. So back to your question, I think there's a little more control for the shaper to be reliable on the end product that they're getting out there.
Well, from a consumer standpoint, I'd rather the shaper be doing that, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to be thinking about can.
Right.
I want the shaper to put the cans on.
Yeah.
Put pins in them like that.
Yeah. So it's good actually. I'd rather my shaper be using
Do futures mark the cant on their fins? No, they don't. Okay, so it's kind of
good luck.
it's kind of like you kind of match them up and look and see what it is. And I mean, I guess you're relying on the shaper or the athlete to put that product out there. Yeah. So, yeah, this one, hey, apples and oranges, right? It's different every way, for sure. Anything else on fins? Covered fanning. I'm glad we brought that out. That was kind of a cool little backstory on the development of the fanning fin. It was pretty cool. Having him.
So I think that's wraps it up. We got a couple.
Yeah. Hey.
I can ask you some questions as we go through the night, but we got some raffle.
Yeah, I'll be hanging in case something didn't strike you at the time. I'll be around.
Better not.
That's a lot of information overload.
Yeah, I know. It's the thing that keeps you up at night.
So I think for the average guy, I mean, like, how does he figure out like which one?
Yeah, I mean, this is a good guide. Like, first of all, you get your size, right? Like, what's your ideal size? And again, this is a general, I mean, say, John, he uses mediums. He's a futures guy, but he uses his medium size in big waves, but he uses the large on small waves. Because on big waves, he's just using his edge, right? You don't need a lot of leverage. But in small waves, you're pushing and pumping. You want a little more surface area, So within reason, this is most important. What size? And then you kind of go to your material, and then what kind of ride you want. Do you want more hold, or do you want more slide and release? So then you kind of go here, and then based on that, you kind of work through the families.
Is this guide on your website?
Yeah. But take one of these. I got plenty.
So if you know a guy like me, let's say, so I have a 6'3" lemonade.
Yeah.
What fins, like, before, when he stopped by my house, I said, oh, look at my board, what kind of fins should I get?
What'd he
He
say?
gave me a quad. So I got some quads.
Oh, it's a 4-fin set?
Yeah.
Oh,
He gave me
okay.
a quad. But I'm old school, so
Yeah.
I feel better on the thrust.
Yeah.
So
Is it 5-fin set? Is it? Oh, it's a 5-fin setup. Yeah.
So I've tried the Mick Fannies.
Mhm.
Probably really, really good.
Yeah.
I even rode them with a little thumb.
Yeah.
But thrust, but they just ride for those
Yeah.
times. So I'm
Yeah.
trying to figure out what thrust is set up.
Yeah. I would say for that board. Yeah, exactly. So I would say for that place, you do want some down the line projection. So I wouldn't say anything too upright. Like I think you want more drive, you know? Like you're kind of wanting a little bit more drive. So I'd say you're kind of here, which the fanning is here, which is good. But I would say that maybe to give yourself a little different feel, maybe something that's a flat foil, totally flat versus the fanning, which has that inside bevel, so that might be.
I think this is what Kylan is riding.
Oh, yeah?
He likes it.
Yeah. And these have a pretty good amount of flex. They're not going to kill your board. Like if you got something that's too stiff, it really makes the board feel dead. But something with flex really
Which
gives
is
you.
what happened. So I went through all my old fins from 10 plus years ago, and I found an old set of conformers, fiberglass, and I wrote them and I poured film thin.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's just,
Yeah. So it's 100% fiberglass? Yeah.
it's just,
Yeah.
it's longer.
Yeah. So you're not going to load it and release it, like it's a fine line, between the performance you can get out of it, like something that's too loose, like this, like you're too good of a surfer to use that. That's going to be too loose. It's gonna load too much. It's like nailing Jello to the wall, right? That's for like an entry-level surfer that needs to feel a little bit of flex. They're not going to push into it too hard. They're not using their rail. That'll be a nice ability for them to feel some load and release to their ability.
So you think that the Coros would probably
That might be a good one. Yeah, that might be but it's a good contrast to what you have with the fanning, with the bevel. So I think this will feel like a little bit more alive. But the flat foils tend to feel a little more zippy.
So the quad, I think I got performers.
The performer quads, yeah. And what size?
Medium.
Oh, medium. Okay. Yeah, that's probably pretty good.
They feel good, but quads are a different feel.
Yeah.
Quads are more fast.
Yeah, they're faster. Yeah, way fast. Yeah.
I don't feel it has the same feel as
Yeah. No, it's definitely kind of different. Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, awesome job.
Yeah. Oh no, thanks. Sure.
Super interested in the weight of the fiberglass fins like the Toledo's.
The weight of the
It seems
fiberglass?
Like the boards would be so light that it would be tail heavy. I wasn't going to say that loud.
Yeah. No, that's a concern for sure. I mean, because this is.
I know the fiberglass fins well.
I mean, because this is glass, and then this is your air core, or not your air core. It's even lighter. That's your performance core. So yeah, that's the trade-off. Is
I just wonder
your
if those guys
weight.
paper light boards would be like.
Yeah. That's the trade-off with the weight, for
I
sure.
mean, I totally get it in 20s and stuff like that. You have to have that.
Yeah.
Robust flex.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, Toledo, that boards weigh 4 pounds, huh?
No, for sure. Well, he uses air core. So where is him? Yeah.
Oh my God. This fiberglass fins.
He uses the lightest material we have. Yeah. Yeah, that's his fin. Yeah, that's the Toledo.
I'm gonna ask you, what's the best barber?
Best barber's fin. Cool. What board? What board? What board do you have?
I have a
511 Tokoro thruster. Thruster, yeah. I would say you want as much lift. Yeah. Okay. You want as much lift as you can get, right? You probably want as much, and I would say probably a flat foil, something with a flat foil, maybe a smaller trailer, just so you got that little bit of release, a little bit more, you know, and something with a moderate amount of flex. Like I wouldn't say glass, because the glass is like, I'd say line